Hello, hockey fans. My name is David. I thought I would start this video at 6:39 on the evening of Sunday, 1st of January 2023, North American Eastern Time. It's been a very interesting season so far for the Canadian NHL teams, but first I thought I would give my congratulations to the Canadian under-20 men's team for its victory over its Swedish counterpart. A rather convincing one, was 5-1, and sets up a date with its Slovak counterpart in Halifax, the Nova Scotia capital, on Monday evening Eastern Time. It's going to be fun to watch, hopefully. I mean, Canada's finally beaten a team that, it's one of the better quality ones. Well, the German team ended up finishing fourth in Group A. I don't know how well it'll do, but it did beat Austria by a country mile, and means that the Austrian team is finished in last, and will have to play its Latvian counterpart to have a chance to stay up for the 2024 top division tournament that is set to begin in December of this year. That'll be in Gothenburg in western Sweden. So maybe there won't be as much overlap of as many games that feature Canadian NHL teams as there was this time around, with the tournament having taken place in Halifax and Moncton. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. I'm not sure how many games of the World Juniors I'm going to watch after Monday if the Canadian team ends up losing. But if it's a win, I'm going to watch as many as I can. Well, there will only be two, because it'll be semifinal game and then the gold or bronze medal game, depending on how Canada does in the semifinal round, should Canada get there. Now I'm going to get to the games featuring Canadian NHL teams. It's going to be over here. The Habs, end up losing another one. Those games that started on Saturday Eastern Time, it was a mixed bag. So among Canadian teams, the Leafs, Flames, and Jets won their respective games. The Oilers, Canucks, Sens, and Habs all lost theirs. It's important to keep in mind that the Canucks, Flames, and Jets Oilers games were the only ones to feature all Canadian matchups. Definitely it's worth congratulating Connor Hellebuck on a stellar performance against the Oilers, stopping all but one shot in a 2-1 victory in regulation. Jacob Markstrom stopped all but two. Just going to head to that game, though. See how many shots there were in the... let's go to the box score. Oh, here. So there were Canucks. There were 24 shots on goal, of which Markstrom stopped. Jacob Markstrom, playing against a former team of his, ended up stopping two. I don't think the loss of Markstrom has been as bad for the Canucks as, well, defense not being very good. So yes, I know that the Hockey Guy YouTube man came out with his so-called power rankings. It's going to before I go into those, I would mention there's a game featuring a Canadian team. That one there, English language radio broadcast. It's on TSN 1200 radio and Ottawa radio station TSN 1200, at least in Canada. Then we also have on TV TSN 5, which is blacked out outside the Senators viewing region, other than with a blackout busting subscription such as NHL Center Ice. Watch that as soon as possible. So that I would do is go to the Hockey Guy Power Rankings video. And it's going to... Alright. Just going to try to... Alright, there we go. Just going to... Right, so what we're going to do is... Alright, so... Alright, so let's see. It's going to go to the power rankings put up by the Hockey Guy YouTube man. Just going to there. There we go. There we go. The Hockey Guy YouTube man. So he ranks Canadian teams, and just going to go to, where'd you go here? It's going to go to the power rankings here. So this is what he decided. This is, I ranked them basically. He puts the Leafs, Jets, Oilers, and Flames in the top 4, Sens, Canucks, and Habs further back. So when it comes to point percentages, yeah, well, we look at the put out a tweet about the Habs having the lowest point percentage among Canadian teams. I thought I would do is also go to respective articles written by Eric Engels of the on the Habs, and Ian McIntyre on the Canucks. I'm going to try to pull those up as soon as I can. Not sure what's going on here. Alright, so we're just going to... Alright. Alright, that's going to go go up a little bit here. It's very hard. I do apologize for technical difficulties. I'm going to try again. Just give me a moment here. Alright, just... Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try another way, because it seems to be having difficulty, and I'll have to get a password, and then I have to go from this desk. So what I will do is I will go quickly to the article. I do apologize for technical difficulties with the laptop. I'll have to... so that's what I'll have to do for now. I will figure it out later. I may have to switch to another network for the internet, so I will attempt to do that. So it's almost a smaller screen, but... So what I'm going to do is going to go to... Where to go here? So basically... Alright, let me show you here. So we go to the Habs. So this article from Eric Engels of Sportsnet. The Habs had lost in December 11 of their 15 games. I also look at the Canucks. Then they go to... Alright, I'm going to go to this interesting article. Alright, let me go to this... Alright, so... The goal for this season was supposed to have been a postseason spot, but you go to the different interesting article by Ian McIntyre of Sportsnet, having come with the Canucks for many seasons. And I'm just going to. Senders have been doing okay, but still, it's not been great. There's still quite a bit back of a wild card spot, and I'm going to go into the Oilers have been wildly inconsistent. So I thought I would do a very interesting article, very interesting video put up by Tyson, by a man going by the first name Tyson, the man behind the Dolny TV YouTube channel. It's going to go to mentions. This is the Dolny TV YouTube channel. Rather important schedule he claimed for the Oilers coming up, and for the certain season. So yeah, it's the Oilers are in a quite precarious position, not a more precarious position than the Leafs. So it's no surprise. I mean, could be that the Oilers end up struggling along, or they end up surging. Who knows? But with Draisaitl out due to some sort of an oblique injury, or like muscle injuries and around the stomach area, whatever. Who knows? How long? The Oilers did put up a fight, but they didn't have a lot in. They didn't finish enough of their scoring chances. Hellebuck was amazing, no doubt about that. But the Oilers have got to start to really push, because they could drop down if they don't. It's not like any team in the Pacific Division, bar the Flames, has played as many games or even more than the Oilers have. And that could hurt the Oilers down the line. Winnipeg Jets have struggled in their last 10 to put up points, and see what happens. I'm not sure if the Peg City Hockey YouTube man has posted a video, but there's no doubt that I believe his Jets. I believe he'll be happy to have the 2 points, even if not under the most ideal circumstances, scoring under 3 goals, which the Habs did a lot of in December. It's now 11 games in a row, according to Eric Engels of Sportsnet. So, what about those Leafs? It's going to be rather important. What I'd like to see the Leafs run the table in January. Yes, they're in a top 3 divisional spot, but it's not something the Leafs can or even should take for granted. So now what I'm going to do is just going to do a little bit of a search on Google and see what comes up. All right. Unfortunately, it seems the internet's not working, so what I would do is instead do so via a tablet. So that's what I'm going to do for the time, because unfortunately it doesn't seem to be working. Internet doesn't seem to be working on that laptop. I'll have to figure out what to do. It may be that I'll have to connect to another network, and that will be what I end up doing, because that laptop seems to be struggling to connect to the internet. So oh, come on. Okay, yeah. So what I'm going to just do is so let's see the Leafs games for this one. So this is record versus opponents. And what about games in January? I.e., games to take place before the All-Star break. At least the remaining ones. You look at, you got loads of games, including one, two pairings of back-to-backs. It's going to be kind of a mix of games, including against divisional opponents. Next weekend against the Detroit Red Wings. Next week, Thursday, away at Little Caesars Arena against the Red Wings. Previous game coming at Scotiabank Arena. Then we go into the Bruins on 13 nights from now on the weekend, 2 weekends from now, followed by a home game against the Panthers on the 17th. And we have 3 weekends from now, a road game against the Habs. And then the week after that, we'll have a home game against the Ottawa Senators. So there are quite a few intra-divisional matchups with Leafs, but also those that are outside of the Atlantic. It's going to be rather important for the Leafs to win. It's going to be 14 games over 29 days. So on average, one game, on average, just under half a game per day. It's an okay clip. There's not going to be lots of time off, but there'll be at least play one game in February against the Bruins at home before the All-Star break. But still, the Leafs, have 14 games in January and 1 in February before the All-Star break. So 15 games to go before the All-Star break. Okay, how many points will Leafs earn? It'll be nice if they can earn. I don't know, at least 20 for them. But we'll see what happens. It's not like backup goalie Samsonov has been great the last couple games. A regulation win over the Philadelphia Flyers, and an overtime one over the St. Louis Blues. Just going to go to. Just give me a moment here. Samsonov hasn't been doing great last. Certainly the last 2 starts have not been very good. I know that there are people who use all sorts of metrics for goalies. High danger chances. Goals saved above expected. But again, the problem is knowing which chances are the highest danger and which ones are a little bit less. Sometimes it's easy to tell, other times it's not as easy to tell. On the other hand, I look at ugliness of goals. Goals go through the 5-hole, go through the pads, don't get the pad down enough, or the reaction is so late, or they're too deep in the net. I see against the Flyers, I was able to detect 1 ugly goal Samsonov allowed. Against the St. Louis Blues, it was 2. 1 goal that was ugly Samsonov allowed against the Flyers, and 2 against the Blues. Both games were wins, but again, Samsonov has to be better. Sure, his contract is only 1 season, but again, Jack Campbell didn't start the season quite very well with the Oilers. But at least the Leafs are paying Leafs have a cap hit on Samsonov that's less than Campbell and for less term. Indeed, had Jack Campbell agreed to a per season cap hit of $2 million and was prepared to take a term of up to 2 seasons, I would be happy to see Campbell come back to the Leafs and not the Leafs have goals search for that. Matt Murray has been a huge surprise in a good way. See if he continues. Samsonov has been hot and cold. Let's see what happens. Not quite as disastrous as Mrazek, but still, Samsonov has to do a better job. And if he doesn't, it may mean that the Leafs move on from him, and by not extending a qualifying offer. He is, the end of his contract means, I'm just going to check the time there, 7 Eastern time. We'll turn on the TSN broadcast at the Senators pretty soon. After I record this video. When it comes to Samsonov, it's very clear that he's got to improve. I mean, he is. There are typically two ways players in the NHL become unrestricted free agents, because by the month, effective the month after their contracts expire, or at least as of the 1st of July of the year during which their contracts expire, they end up turning 27. At least by then they do. Or their contracts end with restricted free agency that still comes with arbitration rights. And that means teams have the right to say no to qualifying them. As Capitals did with Samsonov, his draft team having said no qualifying offer for you, baby. So yeah. Per season cap hit last season was $2 million for him. 1.8 this time. So Leafs actually got a good deal compared to keeping Campbell. On the other hand, paying Murray was a huge amount, but still, Leafs GM Dubas has made it work. What happens in the postseason? Who knows? The regular season, after all, only means so much, but it does mean something. The Leafs are over a dozen points ahead of the Red Wings for a top 3 Atlantic Division spot. Can the Leafs keep up that pace? Maybe widen the lead a little bit over the Wings or whichever team ends up in 4th. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. Sens, the Ottawa Senators are playing the Buffalo Sabres, so that has implications. Will either the winner will manage to gain ground in the Atlantic. The loser will end up, well, it depends on whether that loss in regulation, overtime, or a shootout. And on that note, I'm going to say, go Leafs go.